For the last Sunday in February, you found the Georgia Gang. And topping our agenda today, the SEC primary is here this week. Down at the state capitol, the campus carry bill passes through one of the houses. And the Atlanta airport continues its battle with the TSA. One to watch. Some of the stories up for grabs on the Georgia Gang.
From the Fox 5 studios, the Georgia Gang starts now.
Glad you could be with us. This is our day. We love this stuff. The SEC primary is coming Tuesday. 11 states voting for their choice for presidential nominees. We're joined today by Matt Towery, who will give us a lot of perspective because he's got the numbers and the data. And so, Matt, I think I'll go to you. We know, for example, that Brian Kemp, the Secretary of State, says there's a record early voting turnout. 276,000 people, I believe, had voted as of Thursday afternoon.
That's right.
And I think the key thing to mention in that is that it's higher than 2008. In 2008, we saw every black person in Georgia going to the polls to vote for Barack Obama. Now, the total, because of the Republican push, is exceeding that. So where do we stand?
Well, our Fox 5 Opinion Savvy poll shows that of those early voters, they're going heavily Trump, and that appears to be the case throughout the southeastern region. We had a debate, obviously, on Thursday night, very raucous debate. No one really won or lost. Rubio had more energy than he's had before, attacked more. Cruz attacked as well. I think Cruz may have helped solidify winning in Texas, and Rubio could have a shot at winning Virginia. But quite frankly, based on all the polling we're seeing right now, Dick, Donald Trump looks like he's going to just about run the table.
And Trump's ahead by 10 points in most places, right?
Yes, and in fact, what happened is after he won Nevada, we saw the numbers begin to accelerate. For example, earlier in the week, we had him in the mid-30s. Now he's up to the 40 percentile mark plus in Georgia and in many of these other states.
And so much for all of us thinking he had a ceiling of about 35%.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I really, I must say, that's what I thought, 35%.
Yeah, that Nevada result was astounding.
And then he pushes into the 40s.
Right.
And he, again, we've said this over and over, Phil, Donald Trump can say anything and his polls go up.
Well,
because he does say anything.
I think whether you like Donald Trump or not, it's refreshing to see somebody. Now, he can get carried away sometimes, yes.
Doesn't hurt him, though.
It doesn't hurt him. And just kind of a footnote to what Matt's saying and why these numbers are coming up. Matt and I went as Fox 5 representatives to the Trump rally last Sunday, and I have never seen a more diverse crowd at a Republican rally. You had a significant number of black people there. You had young people with piercings and tattoos. You had loads of veterans.
Everybody wanted to see the show.
Young and old. But you know what? They all, yes, there was, Alexis, some curiosity factor. I won't take that away. But most of these people had Trump banners and paraphernalia. So he is getting an interesting new mix. To your point, more people, I think, are voting.
I don't know what you find so refreshing about this. I mean, when you look at a debate like the one that we had on Thursday, it is frightening and it is so disrespectful. I mean, our arguments on the Georgia Gang are more civil than the arguments that we're seeing with presidential candidates.
That's right.
And I think that it debases the process and the office itself. We've never seen anything like this. Can you imagine Ronald Reagan standing up there with Donald Trump talking about what was it, a choke
artist.
A choke artist or a liar.
You're making a good point. And the moderators.
I think that they're debasing this process.
I blame the moderators.
I think that they're debasing the office, and it's not about the moderators. It's about the candidates and the way they're interacting and throwing around these charges at each other and these labels.
To your point, Jeff, can you imagine Ronald Reagan with Jimmy Carter? And he deftly skewered Jimmy Carter in that famous debate.
Yes.
But can you imagine him turning to Jimmy Carter and saying, liar?
I cannot. I cannot.
Well, let me just point one thing. We're all not seniors, but we're older here on this show. And there's a new America. And that new America
Phil says we're young. Come on.
is used to this sort of talk. They watch reality TV.
Thanks to Donald Trump.
No, not because,
Apprentice. Yes.
No. A Celebrity Apprentice was hardly the worst on TV. I mean, there are a lot of different reality shows. How about Real Housewives of Atlanta? Let's start there.
Well,
the fact is, it's a new America. And we got to wake up and realize young people now, and even younger people who are in their 40s, have a different view of what's decorum versus what we do when we grew up.
I agree with that, and I would
because
agree
of
with
social
you
media.
If Donald Trump were a millennial, he is not. He's 69 years old. He's almost 70 years old, and he knows better.
Look at Bernie Sanders.
He knows better, and he needs to be able to show, I think, a little bit more respect for this process and for the office that he's running
Jeff,
for.
I agree with you totally. It is amazing to watch it because we were all reared differently than the way he's behaving. Now let's try to set a little focus and move on to the Democrats. First of all, Phil, to your point about that rally, he drew either 6,300 or 8,000 people. That's unbelievable in Atlanta, Georgia.
It is.
On a Sunday afternoon. It's just unbelievable.
Unless it's Barack Obama.
Unless it's Barack Obama, that's right. So, Matt, I want your thoughts on Texas. It seems to me that if Ted Cruz is to remain a solid candidate, he's got to win his home state of Texas.
Yes.
And I'm told that Trump is surging and closing with him in Texas.
Well, Cruz might have just saved himself in the debate because while all the attention was on Rubio attacking, Cruz was attacking as well, but he's attacking from the conservative side. So he may have saved himself. And here's what's very interesting. We may have Ted Cruz having won 2 states, Donald Trump having won many states, and Marco Rubio emerged without having won any states.
He's got to win something.
And if he doesn't, then the establishment group that is coalesced around him, they're going to have a hard sell going into Florida.
That's right.
And John Kasich is down to, we don't have to spend a lot of time. I thought he had a nice debate.
Yes.
But John Kasich has to win his home state of Ohio. Probably got to win Michigan, which is in a couple of weeks.
He really has to make a decision about Ohio very quickly because right now he's trailing in the polls by about 8 points. As a governor, you do not want to lose your home state. That may be a blessing for Marco Rubio because Kasich's got a hard decision to make in a matter of days.
And he's trailing behind whom?
Donald Trump.
Isn't that
It is amazing. And you know, Dick, again, I want to mention the moderators. You mentioned Governor Kasich and Dr. Ben Carson. They were done a disservice. They should have been asked more questions. And again, Jeff, if you and I had been moderating, we would have been controlling that, right?
Well, you know, Phil, I agree with you, but I don't know why they're still on the stage. I mean, to your point, Matt, I mean, why is Ben Carson still up there? Right. He's not going to get the nomination. He's not going to garner more than, certainly not more than 4 or 5% in any of these contests anywhere. And so, you know, the question is, where does that support go once they're gone? And I'm talking about Kasich and Carson, and we can have a 3-way race and see where, you know, where the loyalties lie.
Jeff. I think John Kasich has a hypothetical shot if he wins his home state of Ohio, takes Michigan, does well in the Rust Belt. I think he has a long shot. He's threading a needle, but
he could at least argue that he's doing better than Rubio. So that's the issue that we have. If he wins, the problem right now is Trump's leading in Michigan substantially. We will have a debate in Michigan, so that could change things. So Florida's going to be the big deciding matter.
Well, that's Rubio's.
That's the last stand. And right now, Trump leads in double digits in Florida.
I think Trump learned his
turn to
lesson
the
about
Democrats.
skipping Iowa's debate.
Yeah. Let's turn to the Democrats. Bernie Sanders has no shot on Super Tuesday. Hillary Clinton owns the South.
Right.
She's playing nakedly to the black vote. That seems to be her only approach. And she's winning it. She's achieving it.
Right. I think she had it going in, so she's solidifying
I mean, the
that.
problem with the South these days, and I think a lot of it had to do with implementation of the Voting Rights Act, is that we've got racially identifiable political parties. We have a Republican Party that is overwhelmingly white and a Democratic Party that's overwhelmingly black. She's running in the Democratic Party, and so she's appealing to her base, as well she should. She was at City Hall for a rally on Friday afternoon, and it went very well, and she's got a lot of support. She's got the support of the mayor and John Lewis and many others. She's running where her support is, and I don't blame her.
Trust factor. You see these polls, Matt, you know this, you see the polls where 72% of even Democrats don't feel she's trustworthy. And the Bernie Sanders people are very upset about this whole superdelegate situation. It is stacked in favor of Hillary.
Oh, it is, totally.
But that's historical, and that was
it's wrong.
Well, yeah, but it was the same way for Barack Obama. She had him then, and then they all switched.
Two quick points.
It's possible for that to happen.
Clinton's going to get this nomination,
Yeah, that's
and she's going to wrap it up. Secondly, these national polls, whether it's trust or the Hispanic that keeps being thrown at Trump. Look, Mitt Romney carried 27% of the Hispanic vote. It's not like they were beloving him either. He had no love. Right. So I don't pay much attention to any of these national polling matters until you have two candidates squaring off. Then we'll find out how that trust issue and that Hispanic issue is.
And furthermore, in the South, Bernie Sanders is not known because he's never been down here, and he's from an overwhelmingly white state.
Oh, wait a minute, he was in the Civil Rights Movement. He worked hard in Chicago.
That's what I'm saying. That's not South. It was on the South side of Chicago, right? But I think that's the primary that they just don't. The community just doesn't know who he is.
His home state is 2% African American.
Right, and
so is that a crime? I mean, you know, this.
Well, he's just not known.
Do you know what the second largest cause of death in Vermont is?
No.
Well, what is it?
Alcoholism.
Huh.
They get bored. Suicide.
They get bored. Stop, Dick.
That's a fact about the state of Vermont. All right. When we come back, we'll turn our eyes down to the Gold Dome, the Georgia State Capitol, where you can carry a gun on campus if it all happens that way. Stay with us.
Have a question or comment for the Georgia Gang? Visit their website at fox5atlanta.com.
Turning now from raw presidential politics to politics at the state capitol. Crossover day at the General Assembly is Monday. That's a technical term. A bill to be viable must have emerged from one or the other of the houses down there, and such it is. And some pretty important stuff has been discussed. The Senate has passed the merged religious freedom bills. I don't think we need to debate that again. We know where that's going. But this week, the House passed campus carry. I've got, as I said last week, my reservations about guns in the hands of college students.
Disaster.
But they passed it in the House.
Well, and it's for 21-year-olds who have a carry license. And boy, you read the other day where students at Georgia State hear gunfire outside of their classrooms and their dorms. I think it's a great thing that it passed.
Well,
why?
Because you got to protect yourself, Jeff. And you know, if we're in a classroom together and and there's a problem with a
let me ask you a question, Phil. Between your classroom and your dorm room, what do you do with the gun? You throw it in the bushes? You can't have the dorm under the state statute that they're about to pass in the dorm room, but you can have it in the classroom.
I understand that. You know, you could strap
it is
to your ankle.
Face nonsensical.
Jeff, that's why God made pickup trucks.
Oh, well. You throw it in the back of a pickup truck.
Pickup truck.
Okay, so a criminal can come by, get your gun, and go shooting.
Jeff, you're not listening. You can strap it to your ankle, and if you save one life, it would be worth it.
You can strap it to your ankle, but you can't walk into your dorm room. Because if you strap it to your ankle in your dorm room, you're violating the law, Phil. That's why the law is nonsensical.
You just are in favor of gun control anyway.
After campus carry came campus carry light.
What is that?
Really? Did you miss that?
I missed that. Tell me about it.
Campus carry light allows college students to carry tasers. Okay. Now, I happen to think it's a good thing because I own stock in Taser.
Oh, dear.
Full disclosure. So if every college kid in the country went out and bought a Taser, my retirement looks a little better, right? but I mean, really, how far do we want to go with this? Actually, I think Tasers do make a little bit of sense from the standpoint that they're not going to kill somebody in the main.
Pepper spray.
I mean, you know, we just go from one ridiculous measure on guns to another, all to pander politically. There's no other point to it at all.
Let me see,
we did Hartsfield.
It's called public safety.
We did Hartsfield, and we did parks, and we did churches, and now we're doing colleges. What next? Maybe we should make sure you got a gun when you get a drink.
Did you get all your left-wing talking points out?
They're not left-wing talking points. You're
safety.
talking about somebody who has a carry permit, who owns lots of weapons.
Yeah, and you don't.
This is ridiculous.
Well, it's going to pass, Jeff. Sorry.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, campus carry light. You're right. I wonder what's next. On a more serious note, though that is serious, I agree. The issue of illegals. It's got lots of names, but the dreamers that President Obama and Hillary Clinton called them, those children who were brought here.
They're deferred action people that Obama gave the
executive
order
order to.
DACA is what they call it.
That's been punted, huh? Gone to a study committee, not going to any action?
No. There's two pieces of legislation here, just to be clear for the viewers. SB 6 actually passed, which deals with driver's licenses for illegals, and it's very interesting. You're getting a driver privilege card for illegal aliens so they can drive around South Georgia to their agricultural jobs, and it says right on there that they're undocumented, and of course you can't use it for voting. The other bill you're referring to was an in-state tuition bill,
yeah.
And that's your pal Fran Miller's committee, the Higher Education Committee. They punted, if you want to use that word, and they're going to a quote-unquote study committee. I don't know what you have to study for. It's illegal for illegals to get in-state tuition.
I think it's a tough question. I'm still troubled by that young lady from Lakeside High School
absolutely.
a couple years ago who wanted to go to Kennesaw State University and
was going
and
got
she had to
stopped
pay
on a
out-of-state
traffic violation.
tuition.
So you want her to steal a slot from a citizen?
It's not
That's great.
stealing.
No, it's tougher than that. She came
No.
up as a citizen. I think it's a tougher
you
call,
can't
Phil.
you can't get a job when you graduate from college if you're an illegal, and you are taking slots from legal immigrants and citizens.
This is voting against our own self-interest to not let these kids get an education.
Well, you would open the borders to everyone.
No,
Well, I
another
would tell
front-
you what, Phil. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, if we extend your argument, she can't go to kindergarten either. She can't go to grade school.
No,
And she
you can-
matriculated through all of that to college, and that's when you want to cut her off. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to cut off illegals, cut them off right away and make sure that they don't get in the public school system at all, so that they're completely and totally uneducated and just out there willing
Now,
to.
So you
I
want the
wanna get out.
whole
I wanna
college
get out.
system
I want
flooded with
your
illegals.
argument to make sense from inception, not from college, from inception.
I'm for
And if
following
you
the law.
apply it from inception,
Pro-life.
you'll see that it doesn't make any sense at all.
I'm for following the law.
Well,
Last thought. English only, or English as the official language?
English, it's not English only, it's English as the official language of government. It should pass on Friday as we tape, and it's, of course, a constitutional amendment. It would go to the House, and, of course, it would take a 2/3, and then if it did pass, it would be a vote of the people.
You mentioned State Senator Fran Miller. He has got a bill that emerged from rules and on the floor of the state Senate to do away with the CEO's job in DeKalb County, long overdue, and it conflicts with a bill in the House by a Democrat, Scott Holcomb. Guess who wins? The Republican, Fran Miller. All right, when we return, we're going to talk about the TSA and Hartsfield Airport. Stay with us.
Have a question or comment for the Georgia Gang? Visit their website at fox5atlanta.com.
There's so much before the General Assembly, it's very difficult to get to it all. In that section, we omitted something, and that is that a House committee, I believe, late in the week passed casino gambling. 4 casinos statewide, 2 in Atlanta, 2 elsewhere. And a bunch of us have said that train's rolling. Well, it is rolling.
Yep.
I wonder, Matt, does it get legs?
Oh, I've thought it had legs all along. This kabuki theater, the governor opposes it and the like, but the governor has nothing to do with the referendum. I served in the legislature and watched us roll over some governors before, but usually they wanted us to roll over them. They just didn't want to say anything. I think this thing has legs. It could very well pass this year. They have to have it in an election year, in a major general election such as 2016, and that's when they need the votes because they would have more people who would support it.
that's right.
Phil, what do you think?
Yeah, and we're talking about a bill by Representative Ron Stevens, and you outlined what it would do. I'm not sure that the state could sustain all of these casinos. That's still a controversial thing. I think what's going to have to happen too is to look in the details. Who would run this? I see where the bill says an independent board. Now it's supposedly to help preserve the Hope Scholarship. And a point for the viewers too. This is a local option bill,
Right.
so it would have to be approved by whatever these
Constitutional
locations.
amendment first, and then
that's
local
right,
option.
Alexa.
This
So there's a two tier.
This is Sunday alcohol sales redux.
That's
I
right.
mean, that's all it is.
Right.
And you're going to see the same kinds of margins in
Right.
favor.
But I think Governor Deal got his way, though, on the amount of revenue that will go to taxes, 20%.
Well, that's right, and did he? I don't know. I think a
that
lot of people
remains
would
to
like
be
it
seen.
higher.
Well, it remains to be seen, too, what it actually
I
ends
think
up
that's a
being.
negotiable point. You're bringing up a good point.
All right, now last week we touched on it ever so briefly, but the airport, the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, there, I said the official name, otherwise known as Hartsfield, has
Jackson.
International
Airport.
Okay, thank you. Class, you're paying attention. Silliness. Anyway, serious business. The airport's told TSA, straighten up or get out, and we'll privatize, which I always thought they should have done anyway.
Absolutely.
And I thought at first it was just a kind of a statement to get somebody's attention, but it's proceeding. Congressmen like Buddy Carter from Savannah are getting involved.
Well, I tell you, I'm in favor of privatization too, and I know all of us fly, and if you've been to the airport lately, there's been some really terrible lines, and they've cut back staff on security, and with summer coming and with people traveling. I'm glad Miguel Southwell, the manager, did that. I noticed just before we taped, Jeff, did you see where now all of a sudden TSA says they want to, we're going to staff more,
yeah,
and
they're
we'll
going
do
to hire
better.
more folks, and we're going to straighten up.
You know, and it's a great thing when they have to compete with the private sector, or there's a threat that they could be knocked out of business if they don't get it together, because it's ridiculous.
I didn't know, for example, that 2 major airports are privatized.
Yeah.
San Francisco and Kansas City.
Right.
I had no idea.
And that you
I
can
thought
do
the
this.
TSA was a big government union boondoggle. And
Well, it is.
Well, yeah, it is.
Well.
It is. All right. Fulton County thought they had a new school superintendent, Robert
Philip Lanoux.
Philip Lanoux.
Yeah.
Lanoux, that's how it's pronounced.
Yes.
Lanoux,
Okay,
yeah.
so I got his first name wrong on the notes.
It is Philip.
Philip,
yes.
thank you.
Yeah, I can
and
remember
I
that.
couldn't pronounce his name. We're doing fine so far,
So
Phil.
far, so good.
So you take it
You want
away.
me to take
it
over?
away.
Well, as a Fulton County, we were initially excited to get a new superintendent finalist, and he's from, of course, Clark County, and that's the problem. There was a terrible thing over there at one of the high schools, Cedar Shoals, and there was a 15-year-old girl that was raped, and they
Three suspects.
later arrested 3 people.
Like weeks
But they
later.
were put back in school right after the rape, and that was horrible. Parents did not know until about a month later about the rape. So, and Lanoux and his central office is responsible for this. So he's now out of the running.
Well, he
and
withdrew too. He didn't.
He was told to withdraw, but he's gone
Yeah.
from
All right.
Fulton County. Now he's still grappling in Clark County.
Yeah, he was also named National Superintendent of the Year
Yeah.
last
That's
right.
year.
I wonder if you could take that away from him.
Yeah.
Jeff, to you, the DeKalb County Commission passed a budget. It'll be Lee May's last on his watch. And there are raises in there for everybody, but especially for police and firefighters.
Yes, well overdue.
Which I think was long, long overdue.
Absolutely.
Especially entry-level policemen. But yet some commissioners say they're borrowing money from the reserve fund to pull this budget off.
Well, they're probably, I think they're probably dipping into that reserve fund a little bit to make sure that those raises are covered, and that's an appropriate thing to do. But they're not raising taxes. No millage rate increase there to make this happen. And, you had these public safety officers who gave up a lot over the course of the recession in the last 6-8 years. We've seen it across the metro area, and it's time to start paying them back. We see it happening in Atlanta and other places as well.
We got to get out. I don't much care for long-range plans by government, but I will say it caught my eye this week that the Atlanta Regional Commission laid out an $85 billion transportation improvement plan to cover the next 40 years, and it might be real because finally we have some revenue to actually build some bridges and some roads, something to look forward to. When we come back, winners and losers.
Time now for the week's winners and losers.
All right, we're told we have to talk quickly, so Jeff, I'm going to turn to you first.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Dick. Well, the city of Atlanta is going to have its most campaign to make sure that we don't end up like Flint, Michigan, and we've got clean water and a sewer and water system that we have heavily invested in. There was an event Thursday evening with young professionals. Hundreds of them showed out in support of the most campaign, and so we expect for that to pass on Tuesday.
You're
It
talking-
is
you're
on
talking
Tuesday.
about tax. Just be
my
plain.
winner is well. This is there's no property tax increase under Mayor Reed. So my winner is Donald Trump for what I presume is going to be an eventual sweep on Tuesday. And my loser is Donald Trump because of the way he has debased this process.
He's sort of a younger version of Archie Bunker, in my view. Alexis?
All right, that's a good analysis. I'm going to celebrate Shirley Franklin, and this I'm wearing in her honor. There was a roast of her this week for Better Georgia benefit, and she was presented with the Courage Award, and it was a lot of fun, and I was was one of the roasters, and Andy Young was one of the roasters, and so was Maria Supporter, so it was a lot of fun. And then Mark Bradford has been named the 2016 Driscoll Prize winner. He's an artist out of California, and he will be celebrated at an event in April. And who else? Oh, Morehouse College. Okay. They were on national TV this week and highlighting their school and the president of their GOP club and the president of their Democratic club.
Matt?
Okay.
Winner is Cobb County. They lost, though, a great man in Bill Kinney, who was the columnist for the MDJ associate editor for a long time, a wonderful political expert. Cobb County will miss him, and I have no loser this week.
Okay.
Well, just one winner, Devin Gales, you know, the Southern University player who had the spinal injury. The winner was the Shepherd Center. He got released there. And guess what? He got a new handicap-accessible home.
Home by the Georgia alumni, Georgia Boosters.
Well, it was the Triumph Over Tragedy Foundation. They're a winner.
Okay, yeah, they absolutely are. That's an amazing gift. My winner would be Brian Kemp for bringing us the SEC primary. He stuck with it. It's great for the state, the southern states, and voice in the presidential primary process. So Brian's a winner. Jeff Francoeur, back with the Braves, one of the original baby Braves. Let's hope he makes it. Let's hope this one ends well. And the Georgia Public Policy Foundation, saluted by the General Assembly this week for its 25 years of good analysis and thought-provoking public policy. See you next week on the Georgia Gang.
The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the panelists appearing in this program.